Hey everyone, it's Asa, and welcome to my video on learning to use power-ups. Power-ups is a new mechanic in set 15. I like to go to MetaTFT, info, set info, and you can see the new mechanic here. So basically twice per game. You get one at the very start of the game before your first PvP fight, and then another one right before stage 4. You get a power-up, you use it on one unit on your board, and it's kind of like an extra item. I think the strength of the power up is actually pretty comparable to an item. I think they're a little bit better than craftable, but it's pretty close. Um, but basically, let's go ahead and look at some of them. I want to talk about how to build good habits, kind of long term, for using this new set mechanic. From watching a lot of games, I frequently see a lot of players are not using all their power up removers. You get one every single stage, very similar to an item remover. So, with the item removers in the previous set, I tend to see some players who use them too liberally and then they don't have enough removers for their endgame board. But I think a much more common mistake that I see much more often are people are too conservative with their item removers and then they end the game and they still have three of them left. So it's kind of wasted. Um, Power up removers are a lot more important to get value out of them because each unit, it's not entirely clear how many possible options total you have, but each unit seems like they have about 20 possible power ups you can get. And when you use a power up on them, you are only offered 3 out of 20. So most of the time, by if you have multiple removers, you can re-roll it on your same unit in order to fish for better power ups. Power ups can also be conserved similarly to item removers, where in the early game, if you use it, you should be using it on 2-1. You should try to not go any fights without a power up on your board if possible, if you're trying to win. But early game, if you use it on a unit, you don't necessarily need to use one of your limited removers. You can sell the unit and that'll be removed. Same way if you're using an item holder in the early game. That being said, you do get a lot of removers, so if it is a unit you plan to keep for your final comp, like you have a 2-star 1 cost, maybe like a 2-star Ezreal that you want to keep to, and you're going to play Yuumi later, because Ezreal is a trait pair with Yuumi, you might just want to use the remover. I guess what I really want to talk about in this video is most people, I think the set is already very overwhelming when we're playing on PvE. There's a lot of things to look at. I think most people tend to put their power ups on and then they're still kind of overwhelmed with other things and they end the game with several removers when most likely the case is they don't have the ideal power up because again you're only offered 3 of them. Um, if you're very confident you have the ideal power up on your most important units, then of course you don't need to use your removers. But I would highly recommend in your first few games of set 15, KO Coliseum, try to use all of your removers. This will just give you good habits of being more familiar, of fishing for more power ups, and just being exposed to more power ups. Another thing I want to mention is when you first use it, I think the default view is like a non-detailed view where it won't tell you the exact number. It'll just say gain attack speed instead of gain 10% attack speed. I recommend toggling that as soon as possible just so you can know exactly what you're getting into. Not all these power-ups, I think, are balanced. So it's kind of important to be able to take a look and decide on your own. For how to use power-ups, I think the most important thing is, as mentioned earlier, have all the power-ups available to you on your board. You don't want to go any fights with power-ups on your bench. That could potentially cost you 10 HP, which could be a placement. And you want to make sure you have enough removers to fish for the strongest power-ups on your endgame board. So let's just say, again, using the Battle Academia example, I posted a comp guide for that. Your most important units are probably going to be your 2-star Leona and your 2-star Yuumi. So you're going to want a power-up on each of those units. that's going to wrap it up on learning how to use power-ups. Again, the most important thing I think is, unless you're very confident, you're very happy with your power-ups, try to end the game with 0 power-up removers. If you have any comments or questions, let me know in the Discord, and thanks for watching.